Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com. If I look a little different tonight, despite all the lights being on, I'm still getting used to this different camera setup here. It's I don't know, is it clearer? Is it foggier? Y'all have to tell me in the chat if you're, longtime watchers. If you can't tell the difference, then don't worry about it. Tonight, we are going to delve into the world of crime. And every time I delve into, stories of crime, I always have one burning question that if anybody can answer tonight, you would put to rest something that has nagged at me for nigh on to 45 years. What was it my mama saw me and Julio do down by the schoolyard that was against the law? I don't know. I've thought it over many times. I thought at first it was like smoking a J when I was like 12, but I'm like, but that wouldn't make mama spit on the ground and dad put you in prison. They did something. I don't know what it was. It drives me nuts. Please, somebody help me out. Because Paul Simon's not answering my emails other than the restraining order that he sent. But that's not besides the point. Tonight, we are going to delve into real crime, true crime, organized crime. And don't kid yourself, it's not that organized. And I wanted to get that clip, and I didn't because laptop issues. But tonight, we have Wayne Clingman with us tonight, who has specialized in this area. Wayne, welcome to the show, sir.
I love your show. I love your opening. I love the graphics that you did. I love you forever.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We will reciprocate in kind as best we can. Wait a second. What is this? We're getting word meanings here. Omni means all. Chrono means time. So does Omnicron mean the coop will last forever?
Thoroughly.
Yes. Yes, it will, Woody. It is here forever.
Check your Pfizer stock price.
and then I cough. So perfect timing. So Mr. Big, you use that name because it's in so many noir thrillers and what was it? Was the Maltese Falcon Mr. Big, or am I thinking?
I can't remember. I don't remember that one. I mean, I came about Mr. Big because you say yourself, it's a theme that runs, right?
Yeah.
And
as soon as you say it, you know who it is.
Yeah, I'm a fat guy. It's easy moniker, right? And I do the mafia stuff. I'm the voice of Vintage Vegas Crime Blotter that you can hear on Vegas Never Sleeps, which is a syndicated radio station across the United States, where I talk famous mafia stories, right? So
Sure.
that runs well. And I got the book on Frank and other mafia stuff in the process of coming up. So it's an easy way to say it's Mr. Big.
So yeah, you're out in the land that Bugsy built.
I am. No, they are. I'm up in Wisconsin.
Oh,
we got Frank Burasari, and I don't pronounce names well. After my stroke, sometimes I don't speak well, so forgive me in advance. But we had our own mafia up here in Milwaukee, and which is really cool is my guy Frank started the Vegas Skim. Yes.
Oh, really? Tell us about that.
The Vegas Skim was with the Argent Corporation, who owned, among other ones, the Flamingo and other hotels. And what they did is this skim. It was like, here's $5 for us. Here's $1 for Uncle Sam. Here's $10 for us. Here's $1 for Uncle Sam. As you might guess, Uncle Sam didn't like that idea, but they got by with it. God, through one form or another, with Frank for probably 20 years. But the skim goes way back to the beginning days of Vegas, because nobody likes to pay income tax.
Yeah, and that's always what seems to get them, isn't it? I mean, that's what got Al Capone. It's like, run as much rum as you want. If you don't pay us, we're going to put you in jail.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, people think the mafia was a cool thing in Vegas at the time. We can discuss this point. My concern is that tax revenue is important to do things like pay for schools, pay for roads, make sure policemen get paid, stuff like that, make sure the poor people get fed, right? So
Yeah.
when the government doesn't have that money, they can't do as much as we hope that they do, right? So that's where the mob's problem with, with the government wanting that money. I can't blame the government for wanting that money. I also think sometimes we pay too much in taxes, and I can see another point at that as well, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I've had it told me before. I guess it was way back when, and it was by nobody who is authoritative on it, but they spoke with the authority like they had it, which was that, yeah, the mob doesn't pay their taxes, but they also build the most hospitals and clinics and give the most to church.
How did they come up with that idea?
I have no idea.
I mean, did they do different mafia people contribute heavily to those causes? Yes, they do. Modelis, when he was in Vegas his whole life, he built a hospital. He built golf courses. He's built all kinds of things, right? I don't know how much money he may have stolen from the government. I think it's up to the people who live in those communities to say, hey, this is what we want the government to build. This is what we want them to build it, not someone else, right?
Right.
I know in Colombia and Mexico, when those gangsters build a hospital, build a clinic, build whatever, right? Build a road. They do it they want roads to transport goods, right? Obviously. But they also are building things so the local population doesn't cooperate with authorities. They want to be safe.
Now it might just be the stereotype of the Italian mafia or the Sicilian mafia, but maybe that stereotype of donation so much came around because every time we see these stereotypical mafiosos in films, they're also very strongly Catholic. Is that something that you find to be factual?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I'll say this: back in the day, more than today. I don't know what the religious makeup breaks down in the United States. I know it's that way in Mexico. I know that it's the way in other places in South America. I know it's that way in Ireland. But it doesn't make a difference. Those countries are traditionally Catholic, right?
Yeah.
We also know that now the Pope has spoken out on the mafia several times. He's encouraged different church leadership within the Catholic Church to deny barren holy ground, right? Because they don't like the mafia. The mafia does horrific things. Do I write about the mafia? Yeah. Can I talk to mafia stuff? I do. My gambling books, obviously I do. It's a character I play. Again, a character I play. In real life, the vast majority of the mafia are nothing more than scum, in my opinion.
Now, one of the things I remember from back when I was a kid was All in the Family.
Okay.
There was an episode where Archie Bunker, falsely accused, two guys that looked like they were mafia guys of having committed some crime because he didn't want to, take any of the blame for himself or take any of the heat. And he had, the guy show up and he's like, this organization you talk of, it's a defunct. It doesn't exist. Does the mafia exist, or is it a fiction that we built around organized crime?
The mafia still exists today. It's bigger than ever. Back when I wrote about Frank, we did the prohibition stuff, the booze running, a little bit of hijacking, like. Now they morphed into, human trafficking is big, drugs is huge, money laundering, 2 thumbs up, they're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. Bringing pornography.
All the money makers.
All the money makers, right.
Even though you can get that free on the internet, but,
let's talk about that for a second, right?
Yeah.
Assuming, for instance, we may actually go to a site such as OnlyFans. I'm not saying OnlyFans is run by the mafia. Sites such as streaming sites, right? Do we know for the fact that the girl who's doing whatever she might be doing, is she there doing it for her own free will? Or is it because her pimp is making her? We don't know. It's a problem with these streaming services and a problem with human trafficking because it does exist. It's huge.
Yeah.
And most people don't understand that. That's mafia is very much involved in that.
And by, going to the sites, we sort of contribute to the problem, don't we? Because if we weren't paying, they wouldn't waste their time.
That's right. And the thing is that we don't know the difference. It's up to us to make those moral decisions of themselves, right? Simply because we quit watching those sites, buying those magazines, seeing those movies, doesn't mean it's going to go away. It's not going to go away. I mean, I think countries such as the Netherlands has found out that if you legalize it as much as possible, it limits the ability for them to do things because much of the money is cut away. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It means it's harder for them to make that money.
Yeah.
But again, it's moral choices.
Now I did hear recently that California was having an issue where people were once again turning to their street dealers for marijuana.
Yeah.
Rather than the dispensaries because the taxes.
Absolutely. California's miners driving around the back underground. Good for them. Mafia loves them to death. Cartels love them to death. Right? We've seen the same thing. We've seen the same things out in Chicago. But Chicago's also going to screw up their gambling so badly that the bookies will be ecstatically happy.
Yeah, gambling seems to be the one thing that has become legalized almost everywhere.
Yeah.
I lived in St. Louis when the riverboat casinos were becoming the thing. They were just starting up, and I remember that they passed the law that was like, you can have a gambling casino if you pass certain inspections, and your casino has to be on the river. It can't be on land; it has to be on the river, which I thought was a peculiar law, sort of like the reasons, same laws that say I can't buy beer on a Sunday afternoon at the grocery store here in Arkansas.
Sure.
Because God's watching that day. I'm like, no, that's the one day he's resting. He's watching all the other days. It should be just on Sunday that you can get it. But one of the casinos had a plot of land that they wanted to be on. Problem was it was a plot of land.
Mm.
So they excavated a tributary from the river inward and then put it on there and we're on the river. And it was caused a big argument in the courts and in the news. And we're like, wait a second, that's not what we meant. Because it was now inland and they were closer to downtown, which made them more accessible to people.
People usually go to the closest casino, right?
Yeah.
And Illinois, I think, is going to legalize 7 casinos. And they want one in Chicago badly. And I don't know if anybody's going to be stupid enough to build a casino in Chicago or not, with between high tax and high crime. But I'll bet you money that casino, if it's built in Chicago, is built on a bus line. And that bus line would be a very powerful bus line that goes to the inner city because they want that money.
Yes, absolutely. Now, one of the things that we hear a lot about, I don't want to say the mafia, because what I'm getting to the point of is there are mafia. There are mafias.
Organized crime, right.
In St. Louis, there's the Lebanese mafia.
Yeah.
And it seems like they do tend to cluster culturally.
Yes.
I don't even know if there's I don't want to say American mafia because they are all Americans, but there's the Italian mafia, the Sicilian mafia, the Lebanese mafia, the Yakuza, all of that stuff. How many of these are you able to keep track of for your stories, and is it current tales that you're at? I mean, are you looking at historical things that have happened, or do you have an inside scoop?
I do both. Historical things is easy to read about because if it's a court case, if Joe Blow, as Wayne Clingman's been arrested for running drugs, right, and he's been convicted by court of law, it's hard for me to get sued if I say Wayne Clingman's got caught running drugs, right? Because it's a fact, right? The court of law said it happened, right? I can't get sued. It's difficult, right? But if I say Wayne Clingman, I think, is a mafioso, you better be able to prove it.
Yeah, I think it's cute that you're worried about getting sued by them when they're not really known for that.
Oh, yeah. They'll sue the hell out of you. I bet you money that we're working on a book on the Buffalo Mafia, and we'd be damn sure that everything that we say is backed up by either court documents or government documents, because they will sue you until hell freezes over.
I'd be more worried about getting capped.
No. It's easier to sue to shut you up than it is to kill you. If they kill Wayne Clingman, the fact author, out of we're seeing people take notice, right? The people be concerned, the cops get involved, the FBI might get involved. If they're not busting somebody for protesting their certain local school board meeting, they might look into things, right? But if they sue me for $1 million, I don't have that money. I don't have $1 million to pay somebody if I win. I mean, I don't have $1 million. I don't have the money to defend myself in a courtroom. So they know this. So I'm going to make damn sure I have it because it's easy. If I have this documentation, one, they know like it's shit. Then I can do much about it. They might not be happy. I mean, I'm going to go to Buffalo for a vacation or to watch a Buffalo Bill game, right? But I'm not too concerned about being killed. No. If I write more about the cartels out of Chicago, that's another whole kind of story.
So there are some that are a little bit more vindictive than they are
The
legalese.
cartels, I think if I wrote a book about the cartels activities in Mexico, I'm sorry, the cartel activities from Mexico, what they're doing in Chicago and Milwaukee, that would be a lot more risky.
Okay. So I won't ask you those questions.
Well, feel free to ask away. I mean, I can't. I'm horrible with names, so I can't go very far. But yeah,
I was gonna say, are they using the fabled NAFTA highway to?
No. I mean, right. I live in Racine, Wisconsin, which is a little bit south of Milwaukee. I live 14 miles away from I-94. Every day through I-94, they're trafficking cars that go from Chicago north with drugs. They're going up north because it's a nice straight shot and the interstate. They're also taking the port of Chicago and shipping it to the Lake, Michigan, every day. Last year, I believe they intercepted $14 or $15 million worth of drugs, a record for the time. And when I talked to one of our local cops who's involved in that situation, he says that he thinks it's less than 10% of the money that goes, 10% of the drugs.
Yeah, because if you drive the speed limit and all your taillights work, there's no reason to pull you over.
Absolutely. I mean, the guy, Wayne Clingman, gets in a car dressed as I dress in a pickup truck. God Bless America in the back, right? I'm playing religious music in the cab. Maybe I bring my wife with me. Maybe I have my dog in the car, right? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
I drive the speed limit. My lights and stuff work. If I get pulled over, the worst thing to do is, Mr. Clingman, you know you're speeding. I'm sorry, I did not know I was speeding officer. I do apologize. Or it might be, I'm on my way. The idiot who has the gang-banging music on, saying the 50-cent piece, has their windshields tinted up, music so loud it'll deafen you at 50 feet. Yeah, you put a stick on your car, goes, put me in jail.
Yeah, and it's always somebody does. It's always the stupid thing that gets you pulled over.
Yeah.
I'm doing it again, Wayne. I write as well. I write for the Destroyer, and I start thinking of ways to commit crimes.
Destroyer?
Remo Williams, he's a U.S. assassin.
Right. Oh, you write those books?
I write some of them.
Really?
They've been going on for 7.
I didn't know that. Why? Go you.
Thank you. It's fun, but now I'm thinking, if I were carrying drugs, I would have like a minivan filled with it and dress conservatively, and I would have my partner drive the bouncy wagon next to me, intentionally to get him pulled over with nothing, so that they're busy with him, and I can keep going.
Absolutely. You travel at night. You travel between 2 and 4 in the evening, 0200 and 0400 in the evening, when you less likely to get pulled over because they're doing drunk driving interdiction.
Right.
You're driving your conservative vehicle to speed limit safely. They're going to pull you over. They're going to go into the truck. I'm sorry, they're going to go into the drunk.
So, what kind of businesses does the mafia use to front for their real business?
You name it. I mean, coin laundromats are cool. Pizza parlors, 2 thumbs up. Coin laundromats are 2 thumbs up. Video stores, right? Hell, let's make movies. You want to watch the money? If you want to watch your illegal gains, let's start a movie production company.
Okay.
Easy. Better yet, we can start a clothing line. It's all cash. It's get the receipts. You can bury your money in it so easily, right?
Anything that's all cash.
It helps. But with a movie company, you hire people, right? Either really hired or are they ghost workers? You tell me. Are you really paying the actress her rate, or where the SAG rate is, or are you giving her $50 a day? Nobody knows. I mean, you have her sign receipts and stuff like that, but are you really? Is she going to say anything? That's how you do it. I mean, Christ, it's been alleged that Netflix is nothing more than a giant money laundering operation. But again, that's alleged. No, he's been arrested
Alleged.
for it yet. We do know that the state of New Mexico has issues with some of the productions going on there, and some of the shady dealings financially. But again, that's the situation in Mexico that we have to keep an eye on.
Well, I think everybody sort of looks side eyes at Netflix when they put cuties out there.
Isn't that
Like,
yeah,
wait a second.
yeah, that's kind of yeah. It's only, people, there's so much money. The only problem doing a movie is you can actually make money. Because if you do a halfway decent plot, you have the halfway decent actors and stuff, you can make good money. You can make a good movie. People watch it.
And it's legit. So
Legit,
as the phrase goes, we've gone legit.
You're going legit. The same with going laundromats, right? It's pure cash.
Yeah.
And people need clean clean clothes, right?
So what is probably the most impacting mob story that you've covered and put into book form here that had the biggest impact on American history?
Oh God, there's so many. I mean, you got John Gotti. It had a huge impact in New York, therefore American history. And I mean, he did a lot of interesting things. He had a huge criminal enterprise. He killed his boss, which is frowned on. That was, I think, is pretty impactful. You got the Vegas skim, where a lot of casinos were not paying their fair share of taxes, but low numbers of people died because with Vegas, you get dead people, tourists don't come. Mm-hmm. But yet, when you got a problem, you have to deal with the problem aggressively. So let's say you get some dead people out of Vegas. But yeah, guy, give me time frame. Oh, here you go. Here you go. Arkansas, your state, right?
Let's do it.
The whole thing with, I can't think the name of the airport that was running drugs out of the airport.
Mina,
right?
Yeah. I know the guy who visited Mina.
You got to go. Yeah, you got to go. And the fascinating thing is, Mina, they know for a fact, the United States government knows that the bad people flying drugs out of that airport. Also, they're flying drugs into that airport. They knew about it. Question is, why wasn't anybody busted?
Well, the only two guys who were going to talk about it apparently decided to get high and take a nap on the railroad tracks.
That's right. Those two kids, right?
Yeah.
And do you listen to my podcast called True Crime Garage?
I'm not familiar with it.
You should check it out. They did I think it's a 3-part episode. It will blow your mind. They talk about the facts, then they look into the facts, and they find the real facts. And at the end of the 3rd episode, it's like, my God, I quit drinking, but I might want to start up again.
Okay, so exactly how entrenched is the mafia in general in our daily lives that we aren't quite aware of? I mean, how much of every $100 I spend, how much is going to the mafia without my knowing it?
I'd say less than $10. I'd say less than 5.
Okay.
Unless you're doing drugs. If
I'm talking about my
normal people, then I'm saying very little, maybe $5, maybe. But again, if you're a typical adult, average, typical, Mike thought of average, right? You might be going and seeing a streaming service site for adults. That might be a little bit more money. If you're doing an OnlyFans situation, that might be, or some similar site, that's another situation that you can contribute money. Are you looking to get something you shouldn't be owning, say a little bit of marijuana? That's a third situation, right? I mean, it depends. But your average, typical daily American might, out of every $100, might be $3 or $4, if that.
Okay. So, but your typical vices then are what would cause
typical vices, right?
The price to go up.
Right. No, if it was back in the day, so Wisconsin, we have payday loans, right?
Yeah.
Payday loans are, horrifically bad organizations because they do a lot of things that make loan sharks look good in comparison. Up here, if you don't pay your loan when you should, and it compounds out, it comes up to 3,000% interest. I can't think of any mafioso back in the day that would charge more than 25 or 30% vig.
Yeah,
so that's kind of weird. But
they're the finance companies realized what people were willing to pay and charged appropriately.
I don't think most people. I don't think my neighbors around me understand what compound interest rates mean.
Yeah, And the payday loan people, if you take their fee, because it's just like a flat fee, and calculate what that would be as an interest rate, it really gets up there, because they're like, you cash $100 check, and they're like, well, it's $25 to cash a check. Yeah, I'm losing the example track, but I do know I read articles about check cashing fees and such, if treated as for a payday loan.
Yeah.
It was like hundreds of percent interest, or well, not hundreds, that would be more than you took out.
We need to do a better job. When I say we, I mean generally speaking, we need to educate our children better about what these things mean, how that hits them, right? But we all want that easy payday loan. I'm $50 short. I want to go out and drink tonight. I'll send this a little piece of paper and I'll pay them back next week. Oh, next week I'm going to go out again. So we'll roll it over and roll it over and roll it over.
And it just snowballs.
It does.
So how did you get mixed up in this business here, Wayne?
Well, that's just your story. I had mixed up in this doing the writing because I did a movie, all of which you can see on my webpage, which is MilwaukeeMob.com. You can list all my books. There you go. Thank you. All my books. And you can see my movie, which is on Netflix as well. Netflix, I'm sorry, on YouTube and Amazon Prime. Same place. You can see it both places, same film. And but Frank grew up in Milwaukee. I decided I had some extra cash. I know a friend of mine is a filmmaker. I thought we could work together and make a movie. So we did. In the course of making the movie, we got probably several thousand pages of Freedom of Information Act reports on Frank and his family. And that made enough for a book. So we did. And the rest is kind of like history.
And then you just kind of branched out from there into all the other tendrils of the monster.
Absolutely. I mean, Frank, I did not know that Frank was part of the Vegas scam. I had no idea. Then I discovered that up, and that was hugely interesting because how does the Milwaukee guy know Hoffa, right? And figure out ways to loan money to casino owners in Vegas. These casino owners are supposed to be really, really smart people, right?
Right.
Smart people. They don't know. They don't do background checks. I'm thinking they did background checks. I would. If you come to me and you say, I know this guy wants to lend you a couple $1 million, I'm going to do a background check.
You threw a name out there that I have to ask about now.
Sure.
Hoffa.
Yeah, Jenny, my good friend. He's dead.
Yeah. Theories?
He was killed in Detroit. He was killed in Detroit by the Detroit mob because they didn't like his problems trying to get back, take control of the union. So they killed him, put that problem to rest, right? He was probably then incinerated and or rolled in the carpet and dumped in a compactor and crushed in a car. I'm thinking the mafia, Detroit mafia, owned a couple of crematoriums. We cooked dead people. And they put him in the act and put him in a garbage can. And he's in some type of dump in Detroit.
We will never see Frank Jimmy again. Frank, I don't know who that is, but never see Jimmy again.
We'll never see Jimmy again. And I know that there's an author who thinks that he knows what the body is. I don't think he does, but he's been working this case for a long time. He's big in the field. It's like his white whale.
Okay.
So
yeah,
that's what happens.
I mean, I've heard under the third base in Wrigley Field. I've heard packages of hot dogs. He's gone. Definitely dead.
He's not coming back. He's been dead for a while.
Somebody else who's from Wisconsin, who kind of touches on the other aspect of the true crime you write about, Ed Gein.
Yeah, my good friend Eddie. Yeah, he doesn't know much either.
Yeah, and and Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
What are you putting in the cheese up there in Wisconsin? It's constipating y'all, making you want to go out and kill people.
Well, it's just the thing about Dahmer is I had my first podcast, I had one of the investigating detectives, right? And what we don't understand is at the time this whole thing was going on, the Milwaukee Police Department was overworked and understaffed. So like when that poor Asian child escaped that horrible monster, it was turned back over to him, right, by those two officers. Most
Yes.
people don't understand, and this is making an excuse. That is one of the reasons why it happened. Is these officers were working 12, 14-hour shifts. They were tired. And the idea is, we have all these cases, we had all these calls we had to get to, right? This is, we think this is a fight, solves the problem. Where perhaps if they weren't overworked and their staff, they would take the time to, hey, let's look into this some more. Sadly, the boy was killed, which is a horrible tragedy. I think the city of Milwaukee was correct in firing those officers, and I'm sorry that they got their jobs back.
Yeah. So, but serial killers are another part of your.
I do, yes, sir.
Right? And you were talking about before the show. I want to say the Green River Killer, but now for some reason the Ohio River Killer is in my head.
The Ohio River Pirates. Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote a book called Dark River, which is about the real life riggances on the Ohio, Mississippi. I can't think of another river off 10, but they're all river pirates. People, not the Yoho type of rivers, pirate type, right, Johnny Depp type, but people who were basically waited to the raft for these people coming down the river, maybe coming to doors to sell a new farm or traveling here with goods. They take them over. They capture them, kill them, eat them, maybe. Resell the loot. Cannibalism is big. Cannibalism is big. There are cases where individuals would have I'd say bars, not bars, rest stops that people could go and stay. But sometimes they were staying and they were able to go on their way and do whatever. And sometimes they stayed a long, long time. Very cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long ago was this? Because when you're talking about the
River
Pirates,
1770 to about 1850.
Okay, so real, true Yahar kind of things. Because surely there's no river pirates today. There's interstates and everything that can.
No, there's no river pirates today. No. This is it ended in what I know of ended in about 1850. Because around this time, settlements were going large and strong. There was communication back and forth. It was in someplace way out in the middle of the countryside. The countryside was going away. Settlements are showing up. You got to know your neighbors. Law enforcement was more active and more efficient.
Yep.
The United States government was able to put more resources into the area.
So we were talking about serial killers before the show, and we're kind of there now.
Boom! That's Mr. Big. Yes.
These are your books. So you have a beginner's guide. So you're teaching people how to give the mob money.
Basic rules.
Basic rules.
Yeah. Another pornography. I write from porn, right? That's go Frank, right?
Exactly. So yeah, these are all going by quickly here. It's kind of hard to stop on them. And whoever's watching the show, sending me emails. Yes, I got your emails. No, I'm not going to stop the show to read them. So I'll take care of that later. So these are basic rule guides for the Vegas games.
Right, pornography. That one's the one that just flashed on. This is my Frank. That one is a crime fiction. Sort of colors, like the title says. Lovecraft takeoff. Pornography.
Because you can probably support a lot of your fiction with experiences. Things that you've studied and
sure. Interesting thing is the one thing I'll say about gambling is if you have the money, it's fine, absolutely fine. Know what you're doing, know the rules, know what limits are, know when to get up and walk away.
Yes, know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Absolutely. That's a big thing we preach is have a limit, either money wise or time wise. And if you can't figure out a way to get up and leave, bring a friend with you who can get you to go. Because far too many times I find myself, I think I'm going to be there an hour. I turn on twice. Now I'm there for 4 hours.
As long as know when you're playing with the house's money. If you can put your money away that you came with and play with the rest, go to town, do what you want.
Yeah. So many people want to chase losses, which is another big problem. They think that I'll win the next hand at blackjack. The next real spin, I'll get my money back. That's how you're not. Do people make money?
That never happens. I think my favorite scene of my favorite gambling scene was a film I saw when I was a kid, and I can't remember the name of it. I just know it was Abbott and Costello, and
Okay.
and he put a nickel on something, and it came up, but he's talking to somebody, he doesn't see it, and his conversation is driving the bets. He's like, "Let it ride." I said, "Let it ride," and it keeps landing on it. He gets this huge pile of chips that he doesn't see, and on the last spin, it's all gone. And he's like, "Did I lose?" I said, "Yeah, you lost." And friend comes up and says, "How are you going?" He says, "I lost a nickel." But but I like the old time radio, old time television stuff. I get into that a lot.
So do I. So do I.
But speaking of old time, I keep talking about, I got here from serial killers, and then we saw book covers. I've recently seen an older serial killer come into the highlight for more stories in both graphic novel and video format. H.H. Holmes.
Holmes, our guy. Yeah, out of Chicago.
Yeah. Have you done any looks into him?
I've read about him. I'm no expert on H.H. Holmes, other than say that he's a very, well, thank God he's dead, but he was a very, very sick man.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess he could be classified as a serial killer.
Yeah.
He didn't go out hunting for a type, but he built a hotel and hired out for maids, and they would come with their money, and he would say, "Okay, put your money in the savings here, and then let's go to visit your room where you die."
Yeah, I mean, he did horrible, horrible things with them before he killed them. It was this, yeah,
it was a torture palace. I mean, everybody died differently.
They had nothing better to do. It's kind of like the Toolbox killers.
Now tell me about that one.
I always get the Toolbox and Toy Box killers confused, but both of them are horrific people. We have the case, I think, in New Mexico, where the guy would kidnap a woman. He would then kidnap her, obviously take her against her will to a location. We would tie her up, put her on a gyno table, and do the typical things, sexually abuse them. He would do it. He would sexually abuse them, bring his dog, sexually abuse him, maybe bring in his girlfriend at the time, sexually abuse them. I think his daughter did it for a while as well. I mean, one of the girls, and he would drug them up with so many different drugs, such as LSD, that they were unable to understand what was going on around them. They were unable to testify really well, tell law enforcement anything. They were unfortunate enough to escape. But one finally did, and that's how he was caught. Unfortunately, he died before he could meet justice in a courtroom. I can't even think of his name. I'm sorry.
Didn't let us kill him. He went ahead and went on his own. Do you get many fans that you worry about? Because I used to work with a lady, and she was super excited about two stories during the time that I worked there. One was that they were on the trail to the BTK, and the other was the crematorium, where they found out that they were dumping the bodies out in back of the crematorium. So and I mean, she got excited about that stuff. It's like,
I will say this: I had a fan that sent me a lock of Charles Manson's hair. That was kind of freaky.
Did you authenticate it?
Yeah, I once I found it was human hair, I did now. I was also then went as far as to believe that she did what she did, which is send me a lock of his hair. I mean, he was selling it. I mean, he had a friend that would work outside the prison. He cut his hair. The guy would get it. He would then sell it, and then he spent money with Manson, which is crazy enough. I know a girl who really, really likes Ted Bundy. And I mean, really, really likes Ted Bundy, which is kind of scary.
It seems like you hear about this a lot in the movies about such things again, that these killers do have their groupies.
They do.
There are people who want to get close to them, even so far as conjugally close to them.
Yes. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know why, but I can tell you that it happens. Part of it is the idea that, well, he's not going to leave me, right? Part of it is because the thrill, I think. I know that I find true crime people, serial killers are more followed by women. Mafioso type crimes more followed by men, right? I've read all kinds of weird theories why that might be. I don't know if they're true or not. It would be something I'd like to look into for an notification. But if you want scary, if you want something to terrify you, have you read the book Chaos about Charles Manson and the CIA?
No, I've not read that one.
You want to read that book? You do
Okay.
indeed. And you want to keep a handgun loaded next to your bed for the next couple of weeks, and lock your doors and keep it locked unless you know who's at the door, because it will scare the hell out of you. And the most interesting thing about the book is he documents everything. Everything he talks about in the main book is documented. He doesn't say anything unless he can back it up.
Yeah, that's we told our kids that we're no such thing as monsters, and boy, we lied.
Didn't we ever? But we had no idea. I mean, to me, my whole thing is
Nefarious, welcome to the show where we're talking with Wayne Clingman, who is a radio host and a writer and a filmmaker about true crime, both organized crime and the serial killers. So yes, we just had Noirlam on this last Saturday, which was a new graphic novel about a serial killer in the Harlem Renaissance. It's a noir set in Harlem, so it's called Noirlam. So we're on a streak right now of two of true crime, classic crime kind of stories here, and I did just put the link out in the chat also for people to go to Milwaukee Pub and visit. And I will add that to the description below the video. It's not there now. All we've got is Wayne's Twitter account, which please do click on that and give him a follow if you want to find out what the next books are in his study of.
And I rant a lot. I mean, you don't follow me. I don't know what I did. It'd be nice if you did. I would be very appreciative, because you rock out. You write a book I'm very interested in reading about. I mean, read those books a lot when I was a kid.
So have you ever had to face any of the people that you've written about?
I met Frank's son. And
how did that go?
Not well. He came. We showed my movie, which you can see on my webpage. We showed it down here at a hall. We had probably a couple hundred people in the hall, and Frank's son showed up. Frank's son made it known to me that he hated me. Obviously, he was going to beat me up. Okay, I'm at 60. At the time, I was probably 58, 59. He's probably in his mid-60s. It would have been two old men fighting, right? He also threatened my director, Jason Love. Jason Love is about, at the time, 30. He used to wrestle in high school and in college. That would have been a short fight. But the guy was there, his little cronies with him, right? It's like his moment of glory. So he yelled and he screamed for a while. We took him out in the hallway, so he yelled and screamed some more. If we got more than that, I would have called the cops.
Well, standing up for the family honor, such as it was.
It's the idea was there were some people who remembered back when they used to run in Milwaukee, right? He had that connection, right? I mean, I've also met Bobby Luke. I'm going to mispronounce his name horribly. I won't even bother. But a guy out of Boston who used to be a made man, right? And he talks his life, what he did as a mafioso, the good things, the bad things, the fact that people he knew died, the fact that his father died, and the fact that he's changed his life so much. But yet, when he talks his mafia stories, so his idea is you can learn from my mistakes. You can learn what I did and not do the same things.
Okay, we have a question from the chat. So Mr. Big, what is your take on the Adam Walsh case?
That's that little boy, right?
I don't know.
I think it's that little boy. I think that was little boy with the guys that started his father and started that TV show for a while.
Yeah. I think that would be the John Walsh's son. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about the information other than the fact that the child's missing. Obviously, I think is dead. I don't know if they know who took the child or not.
I would have to Google to find out. I just closed it out. Nefarious, Aaron's asking, are they all about murderous psychopaths and serial disturbed sex offenders?
Yes.
Yeah, well, there you go. We know where the money is.
Yeah, believe it or not, I'll tell you what, if my serial killer book would have been more bloody stuff, right, more sexually oriented stuff, it would do better in sales. Well, I've done psychologically versus this guy killed 15 people, he ripped up their guts, and they had sex with the bodies.
What does it say about us as normal people, law-abiding people, moral people that will spend money and more money on the depraved, sexually oriented killers. Nobody wants to read a book about, and this guy did accounting, and every once in a while he would, skim a half a penny and put it over here, and then he went to work and he did it again. There's
well, interesting thing that you bring up, because back in the day, I had my roof done, and my roof was done by a bunch of crooks. And I was talking to my friend Christian Cibrielli, who also writes about the mafia. And I said, God, it'd be so nice if I knew Tony Soprano. He'd take care of that for me. He'd take care of that problem now, right? And Christian goes, yeah, he would have. And then God only knows what he would have made you do. I.e., the mafia preys on people. We know this. But we all have this fantasy of, we can meet Tony Soprano. He'll be our friend, right? We can meet the ant out of, famous ant character down in Vegas, out of Chicago. That was the one that was beat to death in the movie Casino at the end, right? But we don't know that real life, they're not nice people. They outlive to victimize others. Did I write about them? Yes. Do I plan to write about more about them? Yes. Do I admire them? In the sense of, it's interesting that they live interesting lives and stuff, right? But admire them as I think they're my heroes? No.
There is that fascination with us, though, because it's John Gotti. We'll take that. John Gotti's in prison. What are people watching? Growing Up Gotti. We're watching the ex-wife. We're watching the kids, and seeing the lifestyle that they lived.
I had a better one for you. Cartel Crew. Did you see that one?
I did not see that one. Oh, come on.
Cartel Crew. They had these kids whose parents were drug dealers, right? Their kids are now not in that life anymore, right? Supposedly.
Supposedly.
The interesting thing is, the women were all surgically enhanced. The guys are all talking shit all the time. They brought on El Chapo's wife with her idea of wanting to start a clothing line. I'm thinking, wait a second. She's Chapo's wife. Came on the show saying how hard she had it now that her husband was in Supermax. And she didn't have any money, but she needed to start a clothing line. Wait a second. Wait. El Chapo was a billionaire plus. If you think that he did not give her money, she didn't have money of her own, you're insane. But now we're saying that Chapo's wife should be looked up to, that she was a victim, that somehow we should feel sorry for her. No, we shouldn't be feel sorry for her. Not at all. It's incredible. But to me, if you want to do a show on a drug dealer and what happened to them, right? Like Narcos Mexico or Narcos the series, it's interesting. We can learn from that, right? We can even have the thrill of watching it happen, but not being there. Does that make sense, right?
Yes.
One thing. It's another thing. Anyway, standing in the corner and say, "Oh, Chapo's wife is such an innocent person." Okay, sure she is. Sure she is.
No, definitely not. But we do glorify them in these films. You watch The Godfather, you have your characters you root for, and you're like,
absolutely.
Yep, he's got to die. It's just business. There's like this honor there. You can almost throw yourself into it and say, boy, if I always did this, and I'd do this to make him happy, and then he would,
he'd be my friend.
On me because he operates without, oversight. He can do what he wants.
Absolutely.
And that's the kind of guy I want in my corner.
You ever see the movie The Valachi Papers with Charles Bronson?
Yeah, that one I have.
Well, okay, that's real life, right? The Valachi Papers happen, right? Interesting. I mean, it's the same type of movie, both by movies, one fiction, one non-fiction, different outcomes, 100% different outcomes, right?
Yeah.
Because in real life, the mafia is nothing. In real life, when you get within the mafia, you come out either dead or you go to jail. Some people do die in their bed. Some of them do, very few, but some of them do. But the odds are you're not going to be one of them.
And you don't just say, hey, I'm done. I'm going to go to Boca and y'all have fun running the business. I've got my money.
People can do that, but it's rare. I mean, then you got people like in the drug trade with what's going on in Arkansas, right? But it's Seal. I think Barry Seal, right? I mean, he busted his ass. We got caught. After he got caught for running drugs, he worked for the DEA/CIA, right? He ends up dead. Yeah. That's what happens.
Well, dead men tell no tales. And if you know stuff,
No
There's only
stuff.
one way to make sure it doesn't come out of your head through your mouth, and that's to.
Absolutely. And then we talk about those two teenage boys that died down your way.
Yeah.
Do they? I think, in my opinion, they deserve some type of justice. We need to know as a public what the real story is.
I don't think we're ever going to get that one because, and this, when I asked about how much mafia influence there was on our daily lives, we talked about the money that we spend, but how much have they infiltrated, areas of power, of real true influence?
Maybe we should flip it around and ask how much influence has our government played with them.
Well, yeah, we can get both questions done. I mean, are they working together?
Without a doubt, they work together. We know this, they worked together during the Second World War.
Well,
They
yes.
worked together between the Second World War and the day with the Cold War. I suspect that some of the mafia also using skim money from the casinos supported the early state of Israel. I think that can be proven, and we looked into it a bit. The CIA, we know, helped the Colombian drug dealers bring in cocaine in the United States. We know this.
Yeah.
Look at the cocaine wars. Look at crack cocaine did to the inner community. If I may say, I'm getting kind of hyper here, and I apologize. I sat there watching Oliver North defend himself in front of the Senate committee. I'm thinking, here's the American hero. That poor guy busted his ass to protect America, and they're crucifying him, right? When you read more about it, and different books come out, again, the guy that wrote that book shot himself, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We find out now that, they were heavily involved. They made it happen. They allowed it to happen. I'm thinking, maybe Oliver North should be in a prison cell versus Fox TV.
Well, there's what actually happened and what we get to be told about.
Right.
And then there's the boys who fell asleep on the railroad track in Mina. All of that always ties back to the same two people whom it doesn't seem to be healthy to ever come in contact with.
Yeah.
In fact, when I lived in Little Rock for a while, there was I lived there when they were renaming one of the streets after him. They were naming one of the boulevards President Clinton, William Jefferson Clinton Boulevard. And they're like, which one should we call it? And what should we call the intersection streets? And I was like, and I called in and I got in it because it's Little Rock. Everybody could get on a call-in show, even the top-rated ones. I was like, it should be this street here. And then these streets going northbound should be called, and I rattled off the list of people's names. I said, but they should keep their original names going southbound. He's like, why is that? And I was like, because once you cross Clinton, you don't come back.
Yeah.
And it was like, William Foster Boulevard and all the other people. So I was like, but it does seem like, that's why I was asking, do they have, not speaking of them specifically, allegedly, but do some mafia members elevate themselves into positions like district attorney or governor?
Not they themselves. Usually their children or relatives or people who they have an association with. I mean, the Kansas City Mafia, right, back in the day, had a really good relationship with President Truman. The Pendergast machine, I should say, the relationship with the Pendergast machine, which gave us President Truman, right?
Yes.
That could be said. That's one that comes to mind easily. That can be verified for a few minutes online. Would be the biggest one I can think of when it comes to influence. When it comes to power, direct power, I think Lucky, because here he is in prison forever for being a pimp. He's running girls, right? And they catch him down your way, Little Rock. No, Little Hot Springs. They catch him at Hot Springs. They take him back to New York. They try him. He's going to be in prison forever. The Second World War shows up. Let's let him out because he can protect New York docks from being sabotaged. I mean, sometimes it's a marriage of convenience. If I may recommend a book, because I recommend one to you, Chaos. Another one that I'd like you to check out when you have the time is a book called Spooks, The Haunting of America. And that goes back to about the Second World War. I'll take it up to about 70s. And again, heavily documented. Right. He doesn't make anything up that he doesn't back up with facts. Fascinating book. Fascinating book. Another one is, if I may say, called The White House Cult Girl, which is a interesting take in Watergate. I mean,
Yeah.
what we think we know and what we really know are maybe two different things.
Sometimes I don't think we're ever really going to know anything because there's so many conflicting stories, all of them heavily researched and documented.
Well, again, the idea is that's what makes us great, is because we now have the tools to look stuff up ourselves. I mean, I'm sitting here, we're seeing Wisconsin, middle of nowhere, zero minus 40 out, right?
Yep.
If I want to, I can go to the Library of Congress and I can look at Civil War maps. Boom, I can do that. I can go to the National Archives and I look up different things in front of the Supreme Court. I can look at Senate testimony. I can see videos of Senate testimony from my own home. Something that cannot be inconceivable 5 years ago, inconceivable 10 years ago. And I think I would encourage everybody, if I may, to look up stuff, research stuff, get interested in something, look into it yourself. Don't trust anybody. Least of all me. Least of all me. Please, if you get my books, I really, really, truly appreciate it. It goes a long ways. Help feed the stray cats that we try to take care of here, right?
Absolutely.
But look up stuff yourself, please.
All right, folks, we've been talking with Wayne Clingman here, who is the author of a number of books, all of which are on his website, MilwaukeeMob.com. Again, that link will be below the description here. It is already in the chat, so hope you see it there. Wayne, this has been fascinating. I almost said it's been fun, but I think that gives the Mafia, again, too much credit and respect. So I'll just stick with fascinating.
I mean, and you can see it with my Mr. Big After Dark, right, which is my Sin City thing, because I said to Vegas, right? It would better Vegas Sin City, but even if we did the Rack Pack thing, if we went to the 50s, 60s with the Rack Pack, they were gentlemen. They tripped their dealers. They treated people with respect. Women were honored and uplifted, right? They weren't like treated like shit, if I may say.
Yeah, we have this, again, we have this glamorized image of,
I mean, I'm interested too. I mean, the Rat Pack did those things. I mean, you have stories about the Cal Nevada Hotel, which we could talk about another time. And some of the weird things going on with casinos, which makes fascinating reading, fascinating true life stories. But it's incredible. What you think, you see yourself, what we think we know, what we really do know are two different things.
So on the way out here, and maybe setting up the next interview sometime, what do you know about Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board?
He's dead. You gonna get his
yeah, I know he's dead, but his connections and
Frank
such.
Sinatra, as you can see, all his papers from the FBI online. It's on this. You can find it on the FBI's webpage. It's fascinating stuff. There's another website called the Black Vault, which has a little bit more information on Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was a singer. He was involved early in his days in the Mafia. He was early involved in the days of the Mafia into the 70s, easily. He owned that casino in California. I'm sorry, Nevada, the Cal Nevada, I think it's called. I probably mispronounced it. Forgive me. And he had tunnels. Here you go, quick tunnels. They had tunnels, cabins with tunnels.
Wow.
He could be in one. He could be in one cabin. His girlfriends could be in another cabin, and the third cabin would be mafioso people. And the tunnels would go back and forth without being seen by the FBI agents in the hills with powerful binoculars, right? But the problem is with when you do that sort of thing, you got to make sure that people get along and don't fight. So when Frank Sinatra gets into a fist fight, right, with Frank Chiazzana out of Chicago, people talk. People talk. When Marilyn Monroe is there, she might have been taking too many drugs, and she barely has her life saved because she gets the treatment that she needs to recover. People talk.
All right. Well, Wayne, thank you again so much for bringing this onto the show tonight. It's been a fascinating conversation. Folks, do visit the website. Everyone in the chat, appreciate you so much for being here tonight. We don't have a show without you. We always say that. And always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.